All right, so we are on week 12, and this week we're going to be looking at traversals. So all a traversal really is us combining the list that you learned about 2 weeks ago with the loops that you learned about last week. So we're going to start going through this. So when you were looking at your loops, we talked about for loops and we talked about while loops. I would say from this point forward, 99% of the time we're just going to use the for loop, right? We're not really going to use the while loop very much. But just a little reminder, this is your for loop. So there's 3 parts to it. This first part, you create a variable called I, you set it equal to 0. This second part, this is your Boolean expression. So as long as this is true, the loop will continue to run. And then this part at the far right is where we're going to increment I each time our loop finishes. So initially I starts at 0, right? 0 is less than 4, that is true, so it would run this code. Then it would add 1 to I, so I would go from 0 to 1. And then again, 1 is less than 4, it would run this code, increment I to 2. 2 is less than 4, that's true, so it would run our code. It would keep going until I became 4, because at that point 4 is not less than 4, so this would be false and it would exit our loop. So what we're going to look at next is kind of how we can use this loop structure to look at each element in our list one at a time. So we kind of have this little, code.org created this little diagram for us that we're going to use. So we have our for loop where we say var I equals 0. What you're going to notice is the Boolean expression changes a little bit, right? It's still basically the same thing. We're saying as long as I is less than a number. But that number that we're going to use when we're trying to traverse a list, it's the length of our list, right? So however many elements are in our list, that's where we want to stop. So if temps has 8 elements in it, right? At this point, you should know if a list has 8 elements, the index numbers are going to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? So once I gets to 8, or the length of our list, that's where we need to stop, because there is no index 8 when our list has a length of 8, right? If we want to know the last index number for any list that we have, we just take our list.length and subtract 1 from it. So this, dot length is a very important tool that we use when we're doing traversals. So this is pretty much what your Boolean expression is going to look like every time you do this. You're going to say as long as I is less than your list name dot length, and then you're going to increment I by 1. And then we're going to always start I at 0 because that's our first index number, right? Our index numbers in our list always start at 0. So this is a good place for us to start. And then what we can do, this I variable that we create, right? It only exists inside of our for loop. But we can use this to access the elements in our list. Right, so this temps square bracket I closing square bracket, this should look familiar, right? If we were kind of hard coding this, I could say temps square bracket 2. That's saying, hey, go to my temps list and show me element with the index 2. So what I'm doing is I'm using this I variable inside of that list access method to dynamically change which element I'm looking at for each iteration of this loop. So we're going to kind of walk through this just so you can kind of see it in action. So initially I is 0, right? 0 is less than our list length. So, temps 0 is what this is really looking at, even though it's an I there, right? If you look at it originally, it's I, but that's just a variable. That variable has a value. And the first iteration in our loop, that value is going to be 0, right? So once this code runs, we're going to say that this is our list, right? So we have var temps and it's a list with 4 numbers, 77, 85, 89, and 65. So for each iteration of this loop, we're going to kind of look at what element we're looking at. So we're on the first iteration, I is equal to 0. So I know if I is equal to 0, and I'm looking at temps 0, that is this number 77, right? So if I said bar element equals temps at index 0, then element at that point would be 77, right? So that would finish that first iteration of our loop. So now we're going to add 1 to I, right? 1 is still less than our list length because our list length is 4. So now I'm looking at bar element equals temps at index 1. Right, so here's my index numbers again. I know temps at index 1 is 85. So there's my index, which means my element that I would be looking at would have the value of 85. Right, it's then going to add 1 again. So now I becomes 2. 2 is still less than my temps length, which is 4. So now I'm going to be looking at index 2, which is 89. So element at this point would be equal to 89. All right, it's then going to add 1 to I again because I just finished my loop. So now I is equal to 3. All right, so temps at index 3 is 65. So element would be equal to 65 at that point. It's then going to add 1 to I, which makes it 4. But at this point, I is no longer less than my temps dot length because my length is 4. 4 is not less than 4. So at this point, your loop would exit and you would be done. Right? So hopefully what you're starting to see here is the pattern, right? We're able to access each item in the list by using that for loop. And this idea of combining loops with our list is called a traversal. We are traveling or traversing through a list one element at a time. We start with index 0, we go all the way up to our last element, and then we do that using that list length. All right, so that is the Traversals introduction video for this week. If it's a little confusing, if you need some more help, I would watch the video again. You can also come by my room if you need to. So this week you're going to have 3 assignments. So you're going to be looking at lessons 10, 11, and 12. There'll be videos for each one of those to kind of help you get through. So good luck and let me know if you need any help.